we're going to talk about the 5 steps to get your product into retail stores so you can make more money. And Dr. Mark Young is an expert at getting products into retail stores. You want to talk a little bit about your experience with that?
Sure, Travis. Thanks for having me here. We have, in our agency, our company is called Jekyll Hyde Labs. We've launched probably, 150 to 200 new products with sales at this point that would be measured in the billions of dollars. We work with companies anywhere from entrepreneurs in their garage to Fortune 500 companies that are rolling out new products.
And you especially help a lot of Amazon businesses that are maybe making good money on Amazon. You help them to get into retail stores. You want to tell me, you told me a story offline that was amazing. Want to talk about that business?
Like WaxRx?
WaxRx, yeah.
So WaxRx, wonderful, wonderful people. Terrific lady out of Florida. She came to us with an Amazon product, and we helped her kind of package it up and get it ready for retail. And a good, solid Amazon package that can do, $25,000, $35,000 a week on Amazon, which is a great product, great single product on Amazon. We helped get her into prime time. We've been moving her to brick and mortar. Now, here's what makes it so unique. We have moved her into 2 of the 5 big retailers right now.
Wow.
So she's only in Walgreens and Walmart right now. Just with those 2 accounts, Travis, she's doing between $300,000 and $350,000 a week. So you get the difference, the magnitude of what happens when you make that jump from Amazon over to brick and mortar.
Yeah, we're talking $100,000 a month to $1 million a month, a 10x increase.
Yeah, like $1.3 million, $1.4 million a month just in those 2 accounts.
So I'm sure everyone wants to know, what is the first step to get your product into retail stores?
First thing, obviously, is you need to have a story to tell. So you have a couple stories you need to work on. One is your product successful on Amazon? So you need to focus there first.
Right.
And if you're not doing $500,000 or $1 million on Amazon with that SKU, it's not going to happen. The second thing you need to do is you need to ask yourself some questions. You need to be super honest with yourself and say, is this product unique? Does this product solve a problem for people?
Yeah.
Does it solve a problem for the masses? Because remember, at brick and mortar, you're looking at the top of the funnel. You're not looking, Amazon lets you get down to those niches, but at Walmart, you're talking to everybody.
Right.
So does this product solve a big problem? And then you have to ask yourself a question, and that is, can I make money for that retail account? Just because people might buy you doesn't mean Walmart is going to think you're profitable. You have to be able to go in there and explain how you're going to bring more money in that store. And you do that a couple of ways. One, you have to explain to them that, and here's what I want you to remember. When you're dealing with Amazon, selection is infinite. When you're dealing with a Walmart, selection is narrow because there's only so much space.
Yeah.
So for instance, there's a thing called planograms in retailers, and each one of those planograms, let's say it's an 8-foot set. So there's an 8-foot set of hair care. Well, if anything's going to be on that 8-foot set, something needs to go off because every inch is accounted for. So you need to walk in and say, Mr. Buyer, if you take this off your shelf and put me back on, I'm going to make more money than this.
Right.
So how are you going to do that? You're going to do that not because you're a Me Too product, but you're going to do that because you're unique. Hopefully, you're premium.
Yep. I love this. So one of the things I always talk about on my channel is create what I call a passion product. Create a product that's unique, that's better than the competition, and ideally premium. Because then
don't be afraid of price.
I love it. Yes. Because you want, in my opinion, and correct me if I'm wrong here, you want to have a higher price because that means you have better margins. It means you have the best product. I don't want to compete on price because that's going to, in my opinion, bankrupt you.
It's a race to the bottom.
Race to the bottom, exactly.
And when you compete on price, your only hope is that somebody isn't crazier than you and decides to make it with less margin.
Yeah.
Let me give you a little number, Travis. When you look at most categories in the CPG category, there is a 10x difference between the lowest price product and the upper price product. Right. So we use hairspray as an example. You can buy White Rain hairspray for about $1.59 a can, or you can buy Sebastian for $15.99 a can.
Right.
So about a 10x. However, the average cost to produce the top product is only 4x more than the cheapest product.
Right.
So when you're at the top of the food chain, not only do you have more margin in real dollars, you have a bigger multiplier of your cost to produce versus your cost of retail. And here's the thing, the retailers want the premium items.
Wow.
Because the premium items expand the dollars. So if I can walk in there and I can say, Mr. Retailer, if you get rid of this $2.99 shampoo and put my $9.99 shampoo, I've got a story here that will get these $2.99 people to spend $10 in the shelf. And then the retailer is going to say, okay, so if I sell 30,000 bottles, I get to increase by $8. Great, that makes sense to me.
Yep.
But if you go in there and say, I've got a $2.99 bottle of shampoo that I want you to put next to the $2.99 bottle of shampoo.
Yeah.
The buyer's going to say, so you want me to use 2 spots on my shelf to do what I currently do with 1? No, thank you.
Let's get into the second step. And the second step is asking yourself a few different questions. You want to talk about what kind of questions people should be asking themselves before they get into retail stores?
So let's talk about some of the things people need to do. You need to be honest with yourself. It's your passion product. You love this thing, but you have to make sure that the real world's going to want to buy it. You have to make sure that it's going to make money for that retailer. Yeah. The next thing you have to do is you have to decide, how am I going to make money for them? That's the next thing, and we covered that. Yeah. And then we want to figure out, how are we going to get in these places? Well, the way we get in these places is with brokers. So one of the things we have to keep in mind, in retail, relationships are what matter. Mm-hmm. At Amazon, it's a tech-based retailer. You can go in and you do a great job building your page and you get your keywords right and you do all that stuff, and that's super. In retail, it's about who you know. Mm-hmm. So you have to find the right group of brokers. You need a broker who's not so big that you don't matter, but they're big enough that Walmart values their input, or Walgreens or whoever. And you need to find a broker who's willing to take you on, because by the way, getting a broker to take your product on isn't easy, because brokers don't want to risk taking a bad product to retail. Now, while you have those brokers, you have a couple of other things you need to accomplish. You need to have an ad campaign. Mm-hmm. So here's what's going to happen. You have a 20-minute meeting at Walmart. That's it, 20 minutes. You're going to walk in, you're going to have a pitch deck, and you're going to walk in, you're going to say, I invented the greatest shaving cream that's ever been invented.
Right.
And we've done shaving cream, by the way. We took a little shaving cream company and turned them into a $400 million buyout last year.
Wow.
They went from 1 SKU 5 years ago and were bought out by Edgewell last year for $375 million.
Wow.
So you go in, you've got your shaving cream. Here's what the buyer's going to say, Travis. Do you think people come in here and tell me they have bad shaving cream? No, I expect you to have a good product. Having a good product is the cost of entry. If you don't have a good product, why are you wasting my time? So what the buyer is going to say to you is, how will you make me more money? And if you can accomplish that, I'm going to take your $3.99 shaving cream people and I'm going to get them to spend $6.99. Now tell me how you are going to make new people walk in my store, because I'm not going to let you build your brand on my traffic. You have to convince that retailer that people are coming to the store and that your shaving cream now is a destination. And if they don't have it, that customer is going to leave that store and he's going to go down the street and he's going to buy it from the people that do. Right. That's the hurdle you have to cross. And you have to have those things in place. Then you have another thing you have to have in place, Travis. And these things kind of all happen simultaneously. You walk in and you have the presentation and Walgreens says, yes, we're going to take your shaving cream. Mm-hmm. There's 9,800 Walgreens stores. And they're going to say, give us 6 pieces per store, plus 6 pieces per store for the warehouses, for the DCs.
Okay. Yeah.
So all of a sudden, somebody just said, I want an order for 110,000 tubes of shaving cream, and you need to have enough inventory on hand that as I start selling shaving cream, you need to ship me replenishment every week.
Wow.
And if you miss a shipment, I'm going to fine you. On top of that, I'm going to pay you between 60 and 120 days from now. So you need to have the cash on hand.
Right.
Now, one of the things we try to tell people is, well, we run into a lot of people on Amazon and entrepreneurs, they're out fundraising, and we need to get investor cash, and we're going to bring all this money in. Don't run off for the investor cash right away, because the smaller your company is, the more of your company you're going to give away right now.
Right.
So you want to make that company as big and valuable as you can before you bring in that investor money. one of the things that a lot of young companies don't know is when you have a purchase order from Walgreens or Walmart, you can go to the bank and borrow money against it. So as long as your credit is okay, you can go to the bank. The bank will give you what's called a warehouse line. You send the bank the receivable. They allow you to borrow up to 70% of the receivable. So now I've got the money to go make the product. I've got the money to be able to ship it to Walgreens. And I have some leftover money because my product didn't cost me 70% to make. Better not, or you're not going to be in business. And now I've got some inventory so I can keep shipping Walmart or Walgreens. Now, if you can't go to the bank, we use something called factors. And factors are people who are just in the business of financing receivables. We don't go to them first because their money's more expensive.
Okay.
When we go to the bank, we're probably paying 2 points over prime. So maybe at this moment right now, we're probably paying 5.5%. We go to a factor, we're paying 1.5% to 3% a month.
Gotcha.
A lot more money.
Yeah.
Not enough to kill you, especially if you're a premium product where you're at that 10x of the lowest number where you've got that big margin to work with.
Right.
You can handle it, but keep in mind that as you learn with your Amazon business and what will become even more prevalent with brick and mortar, we're chasing nickels and dimes. You know, we have a $10 product and we have a $7 profit or $8 profit, and that looks really big, but it's not.
And Dr. Mark Young is actually speaking at my in-person event, Passion Product Live, and we're going to share his entire talk right now for free, and he gives a lot more information about how to get your product into retail stores. So make sure you watch till the end of this video. And before I show you that, if you want to be the first to know about the next in-person event I do, Passion Product Live 2023, click on the link down below, because everyone that joins the waitlist for the next event, I'm going to be giving you guys access to early bird tickets plus a lot more information about the event. So click on the link down below, sign up for the waitlist, and I'll see you guys in the next event. And now I'm going to share with you Dr. Mark Young's full talk at Passion Product Live.
You all heard everything about TikTok, but I'm going to teach you about MySpace. So we're going to really learn something. Now, I heard both guys talk about the TV show Shark Tank, and we get a lot of calls about Shark Tank. Just so you know, I actually was the creator of the TV show Shark Tank. And there's a number of reasons why you should probably listen to me. You should probably listen to me because I've probably launched 150 to 200 successful products. The dollar volumes are measured in the billions. We created Shark Tank. We've been some of the original people on QVC. There's not a shelf, there's not a aisle at Walgreens, CVS, or Walmart that does not contain products that we put there. And that's what we do. Now, I've been a lifelong entrepreneur, and mostly the reason for that is because I'm unemployable. And some of you may be that same way. You don't want to work someplace else. And the reality is, you have two choices. Your two choices are, you can go out and build your own dream, or you can help someone else build their dream. So the reason you're here is because you want to try to build your own dream. So I'm going to skip over here, and I'm going to talk to you about a theory which is called long tail. Some of you might be familiar with it. And I'm going to jump another slide. When we look at brick and mortar actually amounts for about 80% of sales. And we have 70 up here because 5 retailers, and I think it's the next slide, 5 retailers actually make up 70% of all the consumer products. So Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, that 70% of all the business is in 5 doors. So if you really want to scale your business and you really want to become a real brand and really do big dollars, if you're selling to the masses, you have to make these 5 stores work. Now, when we look at these type of products, you'll notice that line and that curve. When you're dealing in retail has very limited selection. And the reason the selection is so limited is because it's limited by physical space. You can only put so much product in a store. So if you go to a Walmart store as an example, and you go to the music column, or the music department, they never carry more than 600 titles. There's only 600 different titles that are available there. Same for movies. If you go there and you want to buy a movie, there's never more than 600 movies. Now, if you go to iTunes, there are millions of songs available. So when we're dealing with the internet, think of the curve going down. That's the long tail. That's where infinite selection happens. Amazon is infinite selection. I can go there and I can find 300 different treatments for toenail fungus. If I go to CVS, there is 6 or 8. But guess what? Those 6 to 8 that are at CVS have 70% of the entire marketplace. And the digital people with the other 500 brands are fighting for the other 30% of the business. Also, keep in mind that 30%, when we look at the 70-30, it's not just Amazon that's in that 30. What's in that 30 is Amazon, Walmart.com, and all the other retailers and websites that are not one of those 5. So even in that 30% would be small chains, Publix or Meijer or Kroger or chains like that, along with Amazon. Now, I want to tell you what the stats are for you. And I don't want to do this to disappoint you, but I want to tell you what you're dealing with. Every year, according to Harvard, there are 30,000 new consumer products brought out here in the United States. Of those 30,000 products, 95% of them fail. And when we say fail, that means they came on the market and they didn't succeed. They're out of business. The product's no longer being made. It doesn't always happen in a year. Sometimes it takes a couple of years. But 95% of them crash and burn. Of that 5% that succeed, so we got 30,000 products, 1,500 will make it. Out of that 1,500, about 85% of those new products come from existing companies, bigger brands, companies that are already in the marketplace. So when we're talking, and I want you to keep in mind, I'm not talking about Amazon, I'm talking about retail. Amazon, lots more new products because it's a different environment. But in retail, companies who are startups, who launch new products from the ground up, about 200 of those companies per year will make it. So retail's tough. Now, you can kind of picture why, because remember that graph we were talking about? And on that graph, we know that retail has limited ability to carry products. So when you come up with a new product and you go to Amazon, all you have to do is get your listing up and get it approved, and you can be on Amazon. You can't do that at Walmart because Walmart is only going to carry 3 of this or 6 of this or even 10 of this category. So you have a lot more limitations on you. Now, by the way, I will tell you that even though 5% of new products fail, or 95 fail and 5% make it, and only about 200 startups make it, at my own company, I'm with Jekyll Hyde Advertising, our average success rate, depending on what year it is somewhere between 95 and 100%. And the reason for that is, one, we know what we're doing, but the second reason is we don't take on products that we don't think will make it because we have a really good handle on what people want and what the marketplace wants and what buyers are willing to do. So that kind of helps us with that to some point. So let's talk about your team. If you want to get into retail, you need to build a team. This is a different business than Amazon. So I want you to think, when you're dealing with Amazon, you're dealing with a technology platform. When you're dealing in retail, you're dealing with a human platform. It is a completely different environment. So the first thing you need to do, and these things can kind of happen simultaneously, you have to have an advertising partner. Your advertising partner is who's helping you build your ad campaign that's going to drive retail. The second people you need on your team are your retail brokers and distributors. Here's the reason. You don't know the buyer at Walmart. He is not a friend of yours. It is about relationships. You call Walmart and try to get a meeting with the toy buyer because you came up with a new toy. If you're lucky, in 2 years, you might get an email responded to. If you can get a broker to represent you. And brokers are picky about who they take too because they want winning products. If you can get a broker to take you on, and we're here in LA, and a broker is very much like getting an agent if you're a talent. If you're a talent in LA, if you don't have an agent, you're not going anyplace. Well, in retail, the broker's the agent. And the reason is because the agent knows all the TV networks and knows all the producers. The broker has relationships with the buyer. And the broker is someone who already has 25 winning products in this category of business. This broker makes money for that retailer. And there are brokers who will tell you they call on everybody, and that's because they're lying to you. Brokers, as a rule, good brokers have a great relationship at one house. Their offices are usually located by it. If you call on Walmart, then you have an office in Bentonville. And if you call on Walgreens, you have an office in Chicago or Deerfield. And if you're in CVS, you have an office in a place called Woonsocket. And you're in that building every day, and you call on these people, and you have relationships with them, and you go golfing with them, and you go to dinner with them, and they trust you. That person is critical. You must have that person. The next thing you need is you need to stay out of prison. So we find that Amazon plays real fast and loose with the FDA and the FTC rules. And the reason Amazon can do that, and digital in general can do that, is because web sales, for the most part, kind of fly under the radar. So you'll see products on Amazon. You'll see, let's say, a topical pain product, which we would call it's the analgesic section. So you'll see somebody selling a topical pain product, and it will say, cures arthritis, treats neuropathy, works for diabetic problems. And you'll see them say all that stuff on their Amazon page. Amazon will let it slide. Consumers will read it. Wow, this is really cool. Yep, I've got diabetic neuropathy. I'm going to try this. When you move to brick and mortar and you move into the big world, the federal government will now notice you exist. And a lot of people wearing bad suits with business cards that start with an F are going to start calling on you. And they have the ability to do things like close down your business and shut it down or take you to court or put you in prison. So if your product falls into a category of making claims, not every product does. So we look at AJ's product. He sells cards for making drinks. Great. Federal government doesn't care unless he was saying his drink's curing something. But if you have a product that has a deliverable, it's going to help clear up eczema. It's going to do something. You need to make sure that you have a law firm that is on your team who can review these claims and make sure that you're not going to go to prison. The other thing that you have in the retail is something called EDI. In the world of retail, everything is done through an electronic data interface. So you have to have this ability to do that. When you ship an order to Walmart, you ship them a big order, and then they start making reorders to you the first week you're on the shelf. Those orders all come through an electronic system. Your shipping goes into that system. The location of the truck carrying the product goes into the system, so that Walmart at any given moment actually knows where the truck is located and how far the truck is from getting to their warehouse, and it shows up and it's there and so on and so forth. So, and a lot of this stuff you can outsource, but you want to get somebody to do it for you. So the first thing, we're talking about this program, and it's called Passion Product. Notice first thing I have up here, resist the urge to try to bring all your products to the market at once. But I tell you right now, if you want to go to retail, and again, many of you will build an Amazon business and an online business and make a great living and be happy with that. But if your goal is you want to build a $10 million, $20 million, $100 million company in consumer space, you have to go retail. Do not try to roll out a whole bunch of different products. Pick your hero product. Find the hero. And what is your hero? Your hero product is the product you have that's probably selling the best. It's probably the product that is the most unique. It's probably the product that has the most margin, and it's probably the product you're most excited about. Next one we have, rarely does a new brand have the resource and financial backing to launch multiple products and campaigns. This is the second issue. Let's say that I'm going to go to AJ's product for a minute, and he's got his cards for making drinks. Well, let's say AJ comes up with another set of cards for making barbecue. At retail, he would need to have an ad campaign to drive his drink cards. He'd have to have a whole nother ad campaign to drive his barbecue cards. So it makes more sense, like in his case, drive the crap out of those drink cards until that thing has become a big success. Now, another thing that people do that I'm going to always tell them is, people have a tendency, and this is whether it's in Amazon or whether it's in retail, they have a tendency to get this one product, and this product is doing pretty well. So it's like, I need to invent more products. I got to come up with more products. Resist the urge. Do everything you can to hold yourself back. What a lot of companies will do is they get this one product that's on Walgreens, and let's say it's mouthwash, and I've got a hit mouthwash on Walgreens, and it's doing $1 million, $2 million a year at Walgreens. That's great. And what's the first thing people do? Well, let's come up with travel size. Let's come up with spearmint. Let's come up with bubble gum. Let's come up with chocolate flavored, whatever the case is. And what happens is they now took this one winning product and they turned it into 3 losing products. Because they didn't increase the amount of business they did. They just took the business they did and they divided it between 2 or 3 or 4 SKUs. And now the buyer who was happy with them last year is now looking at them saying, well, all your products don't meet my minimum sales requirement. Nothing's meeting my minimum sales requirement. So now I'm going to go from having a winning product and it's going to be kicked off the shelf. Now, you have to be honest with yourself. So I want you, when you're thinking about retail, ask yourself some questions. A lot of people want to be in retail, but you have to ask yourself, does my product belong in retail? Does it really fit here? And if it really fits there, ask yourself the question, where does it fit? Where does it belong? Not everything belongs at Walmart. Not everything belongs at CVS or Walgreens. Sometimes products are niche products. Sometimes you might have a product that would fit better in a specialty store. Maybe my product fits Ulta, or maybe my product, fits Sally, or it fits, one of the chains. Make sure that you're deciding when you're trying to figure out where you want to go to retail, that you're going to a retail place where it belongs. The next thing you want to look at is, are you going to go national or are you going to go regional? My tendency is I prefer to go national. And the reason I like to go national is because it's easier. So this sounds a little silly, but a friend of mine, in fact, is writing a book on this right now. And his next book coming out is 10x is easier than 2x. And that happens to be the case. It is easier for me to take a product and launch it in 15 to 50,000 retailers than it is for me to launch it in 500 retailers. And the reason is because it takes the exact same amount of work, literally. I mean, if I have to build 50,000 units versus 5,000, I'm not building products anyways, I'm contracting it. But what works is, the bigger the piece of real estate that I can market to, the cheaper it is to advertise. So when I'm trying to advertise, if I'm trying to market only here in LA, it might cost me in advertising, it might cost me $20, $30, $40, $60 in media costs when I'm doing paid media to talk to 1,000 potential customers. When I'm advertising on a national scale, when I'm covering the whole country, all of a sudden I can talk to those people, depending on my medium, sometimes for 90 cents per 1,000. So let's just call it $1. So imagine you're in LA, you're only advertising in LA, you're trying to drive traffic to these LA stores, you're spending $40 for every 1,000 people you talk to, and your national competitor is spending $1 to talk to 1,000 people. You have a 40 times disadvantage over that company that is marketing on a national level. So this is why it's easier to flip into that. And the last thing I'm going to tell you here is, when you go to retail, in this slide, You get these 5 major retailers and all these regional players. When you take your product in 99% of the cases, when you get one retailer to say yes, all the other retailers will now say no. You're only going to get a yes from one this year. And here's the reason. The reason is because in our world, we deal with something called IRI and Nielsen. And the world of IRI and Nielsen reports all the sales of all the retailers, all the major retailers, called scan data. When a unit goes through the scanner, when it goes past that cash register, it goes into a database. So once you get your first retail account, everyone in the industry knows exactly what you're selling down to the last item. So you can't lie. So CVS says, yes, I'm going to bring you in. Walgreens is going to say, oh, CVS said yes? All right, I'm going to watch and I want to talk to you in 6 months. Because the Walgreens buyer now says, well, I can let CVS take the risk on these guys. CVS already said yes. I'll let them take the risk. I'll watch the IRI data. And if these guys are doing well, I'll hurry up and bring them in. So losing 6 months of having these guys isn't that big a deal. Because remember, buyers are like network TV executives. You keep your job by saying no to stuff, not by saying yes to stuff. When you say yes to things, you risk your job because you may say yes to bad products, and now you have to explain that to your boss. When you say no, you got the status quo. You know how much money you're getting. You know what's selling in your planogram. You're likely not going backward. So you have to prepare for that. Now, when you go to a retail account, you have a big problem to overcome. First thing, you get 20 minutes with the buyer. And what most people think who have never met with a buyer before, what they usually think is the buyer wants to see my story. They want to know about my background. They want to know how I invented this. They want to know how I source this product and how it's organic and what care we take in making it and how wonderful it works. And the buyer will tell you, I don't care. Stop boring me with that nonsense. I have literally been in meetings with clients like yourself and a buyer where the client is saying, and we added this special ingredient, and this ingredient causes, vasodilation, and it helps relieve pain. And the buyer has got these glasses kind of down on her nose, and she's got a laptop in front of her. And she looks up from her laptop, and she goes, do you think people come in here and tell me their product doesn't work? I'm assuming it works, or you wouldn't be here. That's how you're going to get treated. So here's what they want to know. They want to know how you are going to make them more money. Step one. So how are you going to make them more money? There are 2 ways you can make them more money. Only 2 ways you can make them more money. You are either going to increase the gross of their category, or you're going to expand the category. Here's what I mean by that. You go to the shelf, and here's the hair care aisle. And you look at the hair care aisle, and let's say it's a 16-foot shelf. That 16-foot shelf in this store generates, $100 million a year at this particular retail. $100 million bucks, 16 feet. You have to go to them and say, I'm going to make it $101 million. That's the only way you're getting in. So if you go in and say, I've got this great bottle of shampoo and it's $3.99 and it's just as good as this $3.99 product, the buyer's going to say, oh, so you want me to take up 2 spots on my shelf so I can split up the business that I normally sell with 1 product? No, thank you. So you have to go in and say, I'm a category expander. Category expander means I'm going to get more people to buy products in this category. The ultimate category expander, I'll give you an example. The ultimate category expander was the invention of conditioner. No one used to buy conditioner, you just bought shampoo. And then they came up with, you need to buy a second bottle of stuff. All of a sudden, that expanded the shampoo aisle because now we could get people to take this bottle and walk out with it. That's a category expander. The other story you can tell is, I'm going to increase the gross. How do you increase the gross? You convince the buyer that you are a trade-up product. So how do I become a trade-up product? The reason how I become a trade-up product is I make premium products. The most successful new products, the products that are most likely to survive, the products that are most likely to be a hit product are going to be the most expensive product in their category or close to being the most expensive product in the category. So when you look at most categories in retail, there is a 10x difference between the lowest price product and the highest price product. So I'm going to use hairspray as an example. You can buy White Rain hairspray for about $1.59 to $1.99, or you can buy Sebastian hairspray for $15.99, about 10 times the price. And you'll find pretty much every category, there's about a 10x difference between the cheapest item and the best item. However, the cost to manufacture the best item is 4x over the cost to manufacture the cheapest item. So the people with the most expensive item have 10 times the markup with only 4 times the increase in product cost, which means what? Couple things. One, you have more money to go market your product. You now have more margin, which means you can now spend on advertising and get people to buy it. 2, you now can go to the retailer and say, well, currently people are buying this. And I'll give you an example. One of our clients is premium pasta sauce, Botticelli pasta sauce. And we have only had them in Walmart. It's been a year yet? So we're 1 year, so we've had them in Walmart for 1 year. They are now the number 2 selling premium pasta sauce in all of Walmart in 1 year. So we went to them and said, and note the difference. We have a pasta sauce here that's premium. So you would think we would go in and say, well, we're going to compete with Rao's pasta sauce because Rao's is inexpensive. No. We went in and explained to them how we're going to compete with Ragu and Prego. Why? Because Ragu's $2 or $3 cheaper than Botticelli. So we went in and convinced Walmart, we're going to get people to not buy the $2.99 Ragu, and we're going to get them to buy the $4.99 Botticelli. So Walmart looks at that and says, okay, I get $3 people to become $5 people. Great, because I'm Walmart and I have a 32% gross margin, which means I'm going to make 64 more cents on every jar that goes through my scanner if you can convince people to stop buying Ragu and go over here and buy Botticelli. Okay, I'm in. I like that story. The second thing the buyer is going to say, okay, you've convinced me you have a premium product. You've convinced me you can get people to switch Ragu to you. Now, tell me how you're going to make people come to my store and buy it. You have 20 minutes, and this is how your whole 20 minutes is going to be spent. Your 20 minutes is now going to be down to, here's how we're going to do it. Understand when you go to retail, any of these big retailers, they will not let you build your brand off of their traffic. And I'll give you kind of a math reason. I'm going to take a guess. How many things do you think there are in a Walmart store? Anybody want to guess how many separate SKUs there are in a Walmart store? 10,000. How many? 60,000. Anybody else? 148,000. There are 148,000 different SKUs in a Walmart supercenter. Now imagine you're a consumer and you go shopping at Walmart. What's the odds that you will read the label on 148,000 products today? Not really good. So Walmart understands you're not going to build your brand off my traffic because my traffic doesn't know who you are. And my customer is not going to come in and pay attention. My customer is going to go to the pasta sauce. They're going to look. They're going to see the flavor they want. They're going to see what they recognize. Oh, Prego. Yeah, I've kind of heard about Prego let's try the Prego sauce. When that customer gets to what we refer to as the final 3 feet, when you get to that final 3 feet, that customer has to have a relationship with you. They have to say, okay, I've heard of these guys, or somebody told me about it, or I saw their TV commercial, or whatever the case is, but it seems pretty interesting. Yeah, this is the pasta sauce. In the case of our pasta sauce, the brand that we have is 100% made in Italy, not made in the U.S. It's totally imported. So you get the Italian, genuine Italian meal experience. That's what we're selling. So people go to the shelf, oh, Botticelli, yeah, that's that stuff that's really from Italy. That'd be kind of interesting. I want to try that. Let's give that a shot. Also keep in mind, as an ad agency, which is what we do, we don't build brands. We're a dating service. We're Match.com. Our job is to get you a first date. Our job is to get you lunch. It is your job to get a second date. It is your job to get engaged. It is your job to get married. What builds great brands is great product and great service. That's what builds brands, not great advertising. All the great advertising in the world will not make a great brand. And if you think of some of the most memorable brands out there, advertising wasn't what made them. Advertising isn't what made Apple, Apple. It wasn't what makes Harley Davidson, Harley Davidson. What makes Harley Davidson is they have an ethos with their consumer. Their consumers, I mean, think about it. People put a brand logo on their arm. They permanently tattoo a company's name on their body because they have such a relationship with the brand. That's what you have to do. We get people to sit on the Harley. You have to get people to live the Harley lifestyle. When you go into that retailer, you need to have that ad campaign prepared so that you can tell them how you're bringing people in their store. The other thing I want to tell you is you have to be ready to hit the ground on day one. And I'll tell you why you have to hit the ground on day one. You have to hit the ground on day one is because the retailer is going to give you about 60 to 90 days to figure this out. Every retailer has what's called a Mendoza line. That is the minimum line that your product has to reach if you're going to make it here. So if you're selling a $25 product at Walgreens, on average, you probably have to sell a half a piece per week per store minimum, or they're going to kick you out. Well, you've got about 60 to 90 days to make that happen, or they're going to boot you out, and it doesn't matter what happens after that. And once you get booted out, you're done. No one's bringing you in, because remember what I said, everybody else knows you failed. You failed at Walgreens, CVS knows it, Walmart knows it, Target knows it. Everybody knows that you failed. So you got a really hard time trying to overcome that. First retail account, and that's a good point on this last one. Here's the other thing I want you to understand. When you go into retail, you are not there to make money. This seems like a stupid idea, but you're not there to make money for the first 18 to 36 months. And the reason is simply this. One retailer said yes to you. It will be 6 months to 12 months before the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth retailer says yes. When you only have the one retail account, you now are a national advertiser, but you still don't have enough doors to truly monetize the ad campaign. So you're actually overspending on advertising because your goal right now isn't making money. Your goal is getting above that Mendoza line so that you survive at that account, and that all the other retailers look at that IRI data and they say, man, these cocktail cards things are really killing it. These things are really doing well. We should bring this in because everybody's looking at what everybody else is doing in this business. Now I'm going to run through real quick the 6 mistakes. I just covered the first one. The first one is the short runway. You've got about 60 to 90 days to make it happen or you're dead. The second one, retailers expect to be driving new customers into the store. They will not accept selling a product on their store. You have to make that happen. The third one, everybody knows your business because of IRI and Nielsen. Next one, failure is not an option. As I said, if you get on CVS and you fail at CVS, it's years before you're ever going back to CVS, and it may be years before you go to any place else, because everybody knows what you did. Next, we're not there to make money. We're there to prove ourselves. We're there to show that we're real, that we're viable, that we're a real brand, that we're a contender. And the last one here we have passing grade is 70%. Here's where we're going with that. Most retail products, if it's a mass product, require about what we call 70% ACV. ACV stands for all commodities volume. And these are the acronyms that you see inside the Nielsen data and the IRI data. When we look at retail products, we have a couple things we look at. One is called mental availability, and that is, have I told everyone, as many people as appropriate about my product, what it is, so that they mentally know I exist. And then we have physical availability, and that is, can they walk in the store of their choosing and buy my product? So what we have to keep in mind, I'm going to give you an example here. What we have to keep in mind is if I'm in Walgreens is 86% brand loyal. So 86% of people who go to a Walgreens store will not walk across the street to a CVS store, even though your product is on TV and I love it and I want that product, but I have to walk across the street to get it. I'm not going to do it because Walgreens is my drugstore. CVS buyers, 83% loyal. So you got Walgreens over here and CVS on the exact same corner, and you have to be in both of them to really be successful. Now I'm going to give you a case study, and the reason I'm giving you a case study is so that you guys can kind of get a real idea on what happens here. This particular product was on Amazon. Now this product is called WaxRx. This is one of the many products that we handle. WaxRx is a product for cleaning your ears. It's a pump bottle, and it puts water pressure in your ear and gets the wax out of your ears. Really strong Amazon product, did really good. $25,000, $30,000 a week on Amazon all day long, which, most everybody would like to have a $30,000 a week Amazon product. That's pretty good. Now, when you go to Amazon, you will find literally probably 150 to 200 products for cleaning your ears out. If you go to CVS or Walgreens, you will find 5, sometimes 4. There's only 4 or 5. And the whole shelf for the whole category for earwax cleaning at retail is a shelf about this big. One shelf about that big. And that's all the products. That's it. That's all the space that's dedicated to this category. When we launched this product with this client, the product sells for $37.95, is it? $39. This product sells for $39. This is a category where the average product is between $5.99 and $8.99. And we're at a $39. Now, retailers originally said to us, we're not going to bring that in, that's too high priced. We can't sell a product that high. So we went direct to consumer, we went to Amazon, we sold about 50,000 pieces, which is what we needed to do. The retailers want to see you sell 50,000 pieces. If you haven't sold about 50,000 pieces through Amazon and through your own website and Walmart.com, you're not ready to go to retail. You need to clear that hurdle first. So then we went to Walgreens. We convinced Walgreens to say yes. And we convinced Walgreens to say yes based on what? Relationships. It was based on, we know the people and they trust us and they know we know how to make hit products. Okay, we'll give it a shot. And then we put it into Walmart. Walgreens brought it in. IRI looked good. Walmart brought it in. I want to show you a difference in volume. WaxRx is right now only in Walmart and Walgreens. And right now, this product averages $350,000 per week in sales. And it was $20,000 or $30,000 per week in Amazon. That's the kind of multiplier we're looking at. Now, we have yet to put WaxRx in CVS and Target and Rite Aid. And then we still have Kroger and Albertsons and H-E-B and Meijer. When we finish the distribution footprint for WaxRx, that $350,000 number will look somewhere about $550,000 to $600,000 per week. That's the point. You can't do those kind of numbers in an online or an Amazon environment, because the fact remains, most people who buy a product want to touch it, see it, feel it, hold it before they buy it. Also, if your product resolves a problem, most people don't buy the answer to their problem in advance, prophylactically. Most people buy a solution to the problem when the problem is right in front of me. So people don't tend to go out and buy Band-Aids because I'm going to have some extra Band-Aids. They buy Band-Aids because they got a cut on their finger and they ran out of Band-Aids. So they don't wait for Amazon, they run to a retail store and get it. But this is the kind of difference in numbers that you're looking at from being able to jump from your Amazon business and jump into brick and mortar. So what questions do we have? Let's knock off some questions if anybody has them. I'm happy to answer.
This is not a question. What is that on your neck?
What is this on my neck? This is one of our passion products. So this product is called a Hap Bee. And what is happening right now is this product is connected to my phone through Bluetooth. And this product right now is sending the exact molecular matchup to an energy drink to my brain. This is a really cool piece of technology. So what this is this is one of our clients, and this company has figured out how to take what are called non-covalent bond molecules. So caffeine, medications, Tylenol, all these things, turn them into a signal, send the signal to your brain. Your brain gets exactly what you would get if you ingested that, but none of it is in your body. So none of the downside, none of the side effects. There's actually a setting on this where you can get drunk and drink 10-year-old scotch and actually be drunk on scotch and blow a breathalyzer with 0. And you could turn it off and 15 minutes later, you're sober. So these are the kind of products we like jumping involved with. We really love a lot of technology products. Anybody else? What's that?
When is that coming on the market?
You can get it now. You can buy it now. Go to hapbee.com, HAPBEE.com.
Say that one more time, sorry.
Hapbee, HAPBEE. Yes?
What would your recommendation be on how to get to 50,000 sales? Because you said that you cannot get into retail until you reach 50,000.
You need to get in that range. So what was your question?
Like, what are your recommendations to build it up to like 50,000 sales?
Well, my idea on that is to follow the stuff that you learn with Travis. The idea is get that brand on Amazon, do everything right on Amazon, build your marketing inside that Amazon ecosystem, do the stuff like you saw AJ doing, driving business to your own website and drive those sales. Because what we need to do is we need to walk into the Walmart buyer and we need to say, take a look at my Amazon numbers, take a look at my own website. Here's my numbers out of Shopify, because I got proof. Here's my numbers out of Shopify, here's my numbers out of Amazon, and here's why that happens. The retailer knows that for every one product you sell on Amazon, Walmart knows they can sell 10 to 18 for every one that Amazon sells. So the buyer's going to say, okay, you sold 50,000 pieces. That means I can get rid of 500,000 to 800,000 pieces. Yeah, the reason to say that's enough. That's enough for me. I can live with that. So you have to do all the stuff that you're learning here first right, then we go there.
So it sounds like a lot of small businesses, e-commerce businesses, wouldn't be able to afford to go into retail. Like you would need a lot of liquidity, right?
Great question. So let me answer that question as quick as I can. First question I want to tell you is this. Don't go out chasing investor cash early in your business. Try to hold on to your company as long as you can, because the sooner you bring in investor cash, the more of your company you have to give away because your company doesn't have a valuation. Take that company as far as you can before you bring that investor cash. But here's the beauty of this. If I get Walgreens to say yes, so let's say Walgreens says they're going to say yes to my new shampoo. Walgreens is going to say, send me 6 pieces per store. That's 6 times 9,800 locations. And they're going to say, send me 6 pieces per store for my 16 DCs around the country. So all of a sudden, I'm looking at an order for 56,000 pieces of shampoo, which is probably more than I have sold in the past 2 years on Amazon, and somebody wants me to send them that in one day. But here's the beauty of it. I have a purchase order that says Walgreens on it. I can go to the bank, and I can open up a line of credit, and the bank will loan me 70% of the value of that purchase order. Because the bank knows Walgreens is stable. They know Walgreens can pay the bill. They know Walmart can pay their bills. So getting money is not the challenge that everybody thinks it is. Bank financing, once you can You get that Amazon business going, you get that website business going, you've got your product being manufactured, you're moving product. When you make that next jump, most of the time, we can leverage you into that buy. And if you don't qualify for bank financing, then we go to another tier of financing, which is called factoring. And factors are people who buy receivables. So if we go to the bank, we're probably paying 5%, 5.5% annually for the money. If we go to a factor, we're paying 1.5% to 3% per month. So it's a little loan sharkish. But keep in mind, you're a premium product. You've got a premium margin. If you have to pay 1.5% a month for money to get yourself started, okay, then you're going to have to pay 1.5% for money. But it's very doable. Go ahead. Who's going?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, when you go to retail, can you still kind of outsource everything, or do I have to like build a company and hire a bunch of employees, or Amazon model, very much outsourcing? Can we do the same?
Great question. I will tell you right now that we have clients. I will give you an example. One of our clients was doing almost $40 million in retail, and he did it and they were down south. God loved these people. They were salted earth people, but his description of his office was, I got 3 men and a girl. That was how he described his office. And she answered the phone, and they processed orders, and the other guy took care of customer service. And that was his entire company. Because the product was manufactured at one place, all the distribution happened through the brokers, all of his marketing happened through us, all of his EDI and all of his shipping all happened through a public warehouse that does all that for him. And the only thing he handled was taking care of returns and processing payments and doing things like that. So you don't need a giant company to do really big numbers.
Are there certain products that can only get into all 5 of those outlets? Like, for example, the Happy thing. I don't know if I could really see that in like a CVS. I could see it in a Walmart, but maybe not a CVS. So is there a certain framework in which to like, okay, this product would never be able to get into like a Walgreens or something?
Absolutely. So let's take a look at WaxRx. WaxRx cleans your ears out. Okay, makes sense at Walgreens, Rite Aid, CVS, Walmart, Target, Kroger. Makes sense everywhere. Happy, these things are $199 to $299, and you have a monthly subscription. So that doesn't fit everything. So where does this fit? This is going to fit Bed Bath & Beyond. This is going to fit Walmart Electronics. This is going to fit Target Electronics. And we're actually talking about putting it in Kroger right now, because at Kroger we're talking about setting up a special tooling, and we're actually helping design the tooling. So we're actually talking about setting up a special tooling at the pharmacy aisle where people can come into the pharmacy and pick up their drugs, and they can learn that they could buy something like this and use less drugs. So in this particular case, we're going to train the pharmacist to be able to tell people how this works.
Does your profit margins increase by going national because of the volume you can produce?
Well, a couple things happen. One, your cost of advertising goes down exponentially, which does increase your margins. But the second thing that happens by going national is your cost to manufacture goes down considerably, because instead of ordering 2,500 units from your factory, you're ordering 250,000 pieces from your factory. So your cost of manufacturing usually comes down significantly. And by the way, we see most clients go from their Amazon to their retail business, and their cost of manufacturing goes down by 1/2 or 2/3 once they hit those kind of volumes.
When you talk about the 50,000 pieces, what's the sales velocity like over the course of a year, or 2 years, 3 years? What do you generally?
That's a good question. I'd like to see those 50,000 pieces probably. Ideally, I'd like to see them sold in 18 months, maybe 24 months. I don't want to really see it go much past that. Otherwise, yeah, if I'm the buyer, it might not be that exciting.
What does logistics look like when you move into retail? Because someone who's not in retail is not going to have that much inventory. Do you make inventory for each purchase order typically?
You can't, and here's the reason, AJ. The reason is this. Let's say Walmart brings your product in. Walmart's got 4,760 stores. They're going to say, okay, we're going to take a chain wide. Send us 3 pieces per store. That's 15,000 pieces. Send us another 15,000 pieces to put in our DCs. So now you're shipping 30,000 boxes of your cards. Through that EDI system, Walmart is going to start sending you reorders the first week it hits the shelf, and you have to fill those orders. So essentially what we tell people is, whatever the inventory is that Walmart takes, or Walgreens, whoever it is, if they take 30,000 pieces, have that inventory in a warehouse someplace of your own. And here's the reason. Walmart, Walgreens, they don't need you. So if you fail to ship them, if they have a hole on their shelf because you didn't ship them, they're going to fine you, and they're going to fine you serious money for letting that hole be sitting there. And after you do that about 3 times, they're going to say, we're shipping you everything back because you leave holes in our shelf, and holes mean no money. So you've got to have that inventory. It doesn't mean it has to be in your warehouse. It can be in a public warehouse that they're doing the shipping, but you've got to have it. But again, remember what I said. Walmart comes along and says, here's a purchase order for 30,000 pieces, and let's say that's $1 million. I can go to the bank and get $700,000 on that Monday morning.
I actually have a question about the Hap B. So if you were saying that you wanted to market it as to the pharmacist to replace drugs that they already sell, isn't that bad for them because you're directly competing with products that they already have selling?
Well, you would think so, but in this particular case, I'm going to say on the case of Kroger wants to bring this in. Kroger has a new initiative. So we get involved with retailers really at the retail level, and Kroger has a new initiative called Food is Medicine. And the goal of Kroger currently is they want to reduce the number of prescriptions that Kroger customers buy by 40%. So this is what knowing the retailer matters, because we know that this is a retailer that wants to reduce pharmaceuticals in their customer base by 40%. Here we are. We help reduce pharmaceuticals. Why? Because this has sleep settings. I can get people off of Ambien. I can get people off of other sleep meds. So you got to match it to the retailer.
In addition to looking for products that have potential, do you also look for characteristics of the product developer?
Now, are we talking about, does the buyer look for that?
No, you in particular, in taking products on.
Do I? So as an agency, we look for products that are unique and have IP, and we look for entrepreneurs that we think have the personality and the drive to make it happen. I will tell you that we literally got rid of a client this week because Justin and I knew that this person didn't have the mental stability or the ability to make it work. Even though it was a good product, it's like, this guy can't do it. We're not going to spend our time on it. So, yes.
So, when you guys partner with a company, do you guys take like a ownership percentage, or is there like a fee that typically people pay you guys in order to get your help enlisted and getting into Walmart, CVS, and things like that?
So here's kind of what we do. I'll try to give it to you quick. I don't know how much time we have left here, Travis, so let me know. What we do typically is, first off, we love entrepreneurs. So we deal with anything from somebody inventing an item to a Fortune 500 company. I personally don't like working with Fortune 500 companies. And the reason I don't is because the people I have to work with at these big companies, the most important job to the people I have to work with there is them figuring out how to keep their job. And I'm not interested in you trying to keep your job. I'm interested in growing a brand and doing something that's never happened before and getting a product onto the market that's going to make people's lives better. So I love working with entrepreneurs. So we will always take calls from you. We will always give you advice. We will always do those things without charging. When people engage with us, sometimes they hire us as their ad agency. Sometimes they hire us as a consultant. And there are times when we will put money into a business or we will take a piece of somebody's business. And back to your question, if I'm going to put money in your business, then who you are is going to really matter to me, because I'm going to want to know that you're going to see this thing through the end, which means you don't have a second job. This is the only thing you do, and if you don't make this work, your life's going to be ruined. I want to know that everything you have is bet on this thing happening and that you're going to make that happen.
So,
going off of his question, you said like the 4 different, when you build your team, you have your ad partner, which is...
Or somebody like us. It doesn't have to be us.
Retail, are you also considered a retail broker?
We are not brokers. We are not brokers. We know every broker in the country, and every broker knows us. So what we do with our clients is we kind of sit down with the client and say, what category are you in? What are the right retail accounts? And then we tell you, okay, the right broker in hair care at Walmart is this guy. And the right broker for toenail fungus at CVS is this guy. So we connect you to the right brokers.
And then, same question about pricing. So the Amazon profit margin should be roughly 30% or more for your product based on fees and everything else that you have to pay. So is that kind of similar? Are we expecting a 30% profit margin going retail?
I want a 500% profit margin. I'm serious. That's my minimum. So when somebody brings a new product to me and they tell me my product sells for $10, first thing I say to them is, does it cost you $2 or less landed cost for that product? If it costs more than $2, it is not a $10 item, because you need a markup 5-to-1 from your manufacturing cost, and if I have my way, I would prefer an 8-to-1 margin. But you need at least 5-to-1 to survive. Because keep in mind, we've got this $10 item, it cost me $2. When I take my $10 item and I sell it to CVS, CVS is going to want to make 45 points. So my $10 item just became $5.50. Now I have a broker. My broker's getting 5% of the sale, so there goes my 50 cents. Now I'm going to spend 15 to 25% of my money on advertising. So there goes another $2. So do you see how fast that money runs down? So you want to look at 5x margin. Whatever it cost you to make it, it needs to sell for 5 times that. And if 5 times that, if you look at 5 times that and you say, geez, I can't get people to pay that price, then you need to retool your manufacturing and figure out how to get that cost down.
Again, if you want to get on the waitlist for Passion Product Live 2023, click on this link down below, sign up for the waitlist, and you'll be the first to know about early bird discounts and all other kinds of information about this next event. So click on that link and I'll see you on the waitlist. I'll be sending out emails with lots more updates. Click on the link. I'll see you guys, and thanks for watching.